This is my favorite episode. I'm not even joking. I actually just, man. So, how's everyone doing today, guys? My name's T Codes, and this is the Bad Batch. This is season 2, episode 12, The Outpost. And, oh man, I mean, earlier in the season, one of my favorite episodes was Solitary Clone, which was a Crosshair episode. So I guess it's not surprising that once we come back to Crosshair, we get another great episode. It's just, oh my gosh. So, just so much happened in this episode, yet not a lot happened at the same time, which is something I usually like to see. I just like when just one mission can change a lot. Even though there have already been like little bits and pieces showing that something can happen, this is like the tipping point. And man, was it a tipping point because God. So this episode in general is just Crosshair going on another mission. He's got another job, and because Rampart's out of the way, he has to now work under another office, another Imperial, and in this case, he's under Lieutenant Nolan, who, yeah, just the second this guy comes on screen, you're just like, oh my God, he's annoying as heck. He is, like, he literally, like, he sees, he calls out Crosshair for having his helmet off, not being in uniform. He sees that there's other clones, and he's just like, oh, he's like, I hate used items, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not gonna go well already. And I even love when they get to this outpost, and I forget the planet that they went to, but it's a snow planet. It's not Hoth. I don't think it's definitely not Elam from Clone Wars, but it's another snow planet. I mean, how many snow planets have we got? There's like 4 I can think of right now. Yeah. So they go to this snow planet where they're going to an outpost that's being held by clones. Only a few clones left. There's this one clone named Mayday who's got I love how he just got the beard. I don't know if it's because he wanted to grow a beard or if like it's been that long, because he said they were expecting them like 36 rotations before. So it's like, how long has it been? But the fact that Lieutenant Nolan is just literally from start to finish, he is just a piece of crap. Like, he does not care about anyone other than himself. He will literally, if anyone questions him, he will just immediately counter it with like an insult or his own morality in a way. Because, like, I mean, again, he shows up, Mayday's like, we're expecting you guys 36 rotations ago. He's like, well, we follow the Imperial schedule, not yours, Mayday, not yours, Command, not yours, Cat, or what was he like? I think he said trooper or captain, and then Mayday corrects him by saying commander. And even Nolan's being like, commander? Like, the way he says it is like, oh, really? A commander? And then I love how, Nolan's like, well, I'm here now, so I'm lieutenant, you have to listen to me. And I love Mayday just being like, in my experience, respect is earned. It's like that kind of, and it almost mirrors Ahsoka and Rex's first conversation being like, experience outranks a lot. So that's kind of the first thing that came in my mind when I heard that line. But of course, it's a bit different. Respect it's something that is earned. So the fact that Lieutenant Nolan immediately shows up and just expects everyone to respect him is ridiculous. And I even love Nolan just being like, yeah, well, I'm the lieutenant. And then I love Mayday replies back, he's like, tell me then, Lieutenant, how many missions have you been on? It's just like, dang. And of course, but it doesn't stop there, like, Nolan is like, your one specific job, protect the cargo that we got here. And then Mayday's like, well, it's kind of, well, we've been low on supplies and resources. Our equipment is literally aged out. We requested stuff like this, but never heard back. It's just like, literally, these troopers are expecting to do so much with so little. unfortunately a reflection of life in some cases. But Nolan's just being an absolute piece of crap. And I love the banter that Crosshair has with Mayday too. I just love, like, Nolan goes off and then no, and then Mayday is like, so how long have you been working under him? And then Crosshair's like 2 hours, and then Mayday just replies, that's 2 hours too many by the looks of it. It's like, yeah. And that's another thing. I liked how, like, I mean, we've seen Crosshair interact with other troopers before. I mean, we had his episode with Commander Cody. You know, he kind of has that relationship there with him. But I like here he's kind of just shooting it with Mayday. You know, they're just kind of talking about stuff, mainly just trying to get along. You know, because I mean, they're troopers in an outpost. They don't really have much to do, except for the fact that there's actually this kind of like insurgent group that is attacking the base, stealing supplies, because like I said, you know, it's not exactly a well-fortified outpost, so that's rather easy. In fact, they literally come in at one point, steal some supplies, blow up the ship, and take out a few more of Mayday's men, and unfortunately for Crosshair, he isn't able to stop him, but he's able to figure out how they get to the outpost so easily, and that's because there's a cave underneath the ice that they just go through to kind of sneak up on them. And then as Mayday again, he's just been in this tough situation. He literally is losing his men left and right. Like, he has a wall of helmets that are just his men that have died. It's just like, it's depressing. And literally after this attack, you know, another few of his men die, so he kind of has a moment for them. You know, he puts the helmets up, he has a moment of silence, but then Lieutenant Nolan just comes in, he's like, what are you doing standing around? We have to go find them and retrieve the crates. And that was the other thing. I'm like, what are in those crates that are so important? And then I'm like, oh wait, I knew the second he said, like, we gotta go retrieve those crates, I'm like, it's not gonna be something super important, it's gonna be something stupid. And eventually we do figure out that it is kind of stupid. Like, they literally, I'm not gonna say what it is just yet, because it's just, it was that moment when Lieutenant Nolan was talking about the cargo and the crates that I realized it's gonna be nothing. It's gonna be nothing of value, at least in terms of like giving their lives for. Like, it's not worth this much. And so then Nolan then orders Mayday and Crosshair to be the ones to venture out into this basically Arctic plane to go retrieve the cargo. And of course Mayday calls that out. He's like, the two of us alone, that is literally that's basically an impossible task, and you need me. It's like, I need all of the men you got. And then of course Lieutenant's like, and leave this place unguarded? No, both of you will go retrieve the car, we'll go retrieve the stolen goods. And I'm like, God. So that's exactly what they do. Crosshair and Mayday, they go off by themselves, they go through this cave, and they're just basically, you basically feel it. You feel like this is so unfair for them. And I love Crosshair at first, you know, it's like Crosshair and Mayday, you know, again, they're kind of shooting it, but then I love Mayday just being like, oh no, they find the body of the one dude that they were following. Like Crosshair shot this guy, didn't die somehow, and left a blood trail to the cave. That's how they knew how they were getting close to the outpost with this cave. So they find him in the cave, but Crosshair makes a point that his friend probably didn't want to carry the dead weight, and then Mayday, I love Mayday's response being like, remind me not to die with me. And I'm like, dang it. But then of course later in the episode you're like, oh. And then we get another, but then I love how basically immediately after Mayday says that line, Crosshair steps on a mine. And then Mayday's like, what were you saying about the dead weight again? And then Crosshair's just like, so then in this kind of, this is both an intense scene and a very like calm, okay scene. That's with Mayday basically helping Crosshair deal with this mine. And basically what he does is he weighs it down so that way when Crosshair takes his foot off it, the pressure pad doesn't lift up and explode on him. So he basically just goes around, kind of hammers down some hooks on it to kind of keep it down. And I love that they're just basically, again, they're just talking, like Mayday just talking about like how he got to that point. Crosshair, he brings up Clone Force, his squad, not Clone Force 99, but I love that at first, he doesn't, like, Mayday's like, so who was your squad? And then he's just, at first Crosshair doesn't say anything, and then he's just like, Clone Force 99, and then Mayday's like, where are they now? And he's like, they're gone. Of course, we know as viewers that Crosshair is lying about that. He knows that they're still out there. He just didn't go with them after Kamino was destroyed. So he's, technically speaking, he's not wrong. They are gone, but they're not actually gone. They're just in his, mentally, I guess, for him, just because he doesn't have them anymore. But I love Mayday just being like, yep. He's like, I guess that makes, we're all that's left then of them. Eventually he does get Crosshair does get off the mine. Although, again, I love the joke that they make there, whereas Mayday finishes his work and then Crosshair is about to take his foot off. He's like, whoa, wait. I want to go back over here and I'm gonna tell you when to take your foot off it. And then Crosshair is like, I love your confidence. And then Mayday's like, oh, it's not that I don't have confidence, it's just I'm not stupid. It's just, because yeah, he's got a point. Like the chance of the mine going off, you don't want both of them right there. So I love Mayday just walking off to the distance, and then he's being like, okay, you can take your foot off now. But then eventually they get out of the cave, they find this group's camp. And it's just it's another cool sequence where a word isn't said. I love that. I love that a word isn't said. They just go into this camp, they take out this group. Unfortunately, there's so many at one point where, despite Crosshair literally just like quick scoping everyone like left and right, there's too many to handle. So he shoots off a set of explosives that brings down the camp. But it's in a cave on the side of a mountain. So eventually an avalanche comes in, but not before Crosshair and Mayday get out with the gear and discover what the gear is. Exactly, that's what it is. The stolen goods is just gear. And it's not even clone trooper gear, it's snow trooper, stormtrooper gear. And of course, like, Mayday is like, we could have been using this. And then, of course, then at the same time, he's like, but wait, it's for the new army. And of course, it's just like, you gave your lives, people were dying, you went on this nearly a suicide mission for gear. At some point, you kind of have to weigh the ethics of that situation. It's like, is that gear really worth the lives of these men? Is it really worth venturing out into the Arctic for it? And then that's not even before the avalanche happens. And yeah, the avalanche does happen. Crosshair and Mayday get caught up in it. And unfortunately for Mayday, he doesn't exactly he doesn't do well afterwards. Crosshair, they're both buried in snow, but Crosshair, he's all right, but then Mayday was pinned up against a rock, so he literally was taking a beating. And Crosshair, just reflecting what he said earlier about not carrying dead weight, literally carries Mayday. Like, Mayday's on his feet, but he's literally carrying by the shoulder across this plane, it's such an intense scene, because on one hand you're like thinking, is it Mayday actually gonna die, or is this just, or are they gonna both make? I mean, Crosshair has to make it, because that's the thing about him being one of the main characters. He's most likely gonna make it. But it's just, everything about the journey is so good. I mean, for it being animation, it's so good. Like, the landscapes are so good. The music's also good. And I want to go. Forgot to mention, when they're in the cave, it's super dark. So that's another episode where it's super dark. Not a lot is happening. I don't know. I guess I want to go back and just see all the episodes now and kind of see like how many of them actually were just had a section where they're just in a very dark room. That's just me. But Oh man, it's just this. Honestly, when I think what really like this episode was really good, but it's just this final part of the episode that was just like this is amazing, and that's when Crosshair and a part of me when they were going in, a part of me was wondering if they were gonna be left. Like, imagine, I was thinking like maybe Lieutenant Nolan gave up on them and he was just gonna straight up leave, and that almost was what was happening because they show up. There's some ships and there's troopers loading up the cargo onto the ships, and Nolan's just keeping track of them. Then all the troops look off and they see Mayday and Crosshair limping, literally limping across the runway, and they're like, "Oh my goodness!" But then Nolan's like, "What are you all staring at? Get back to work!" And then he, of course, approaches Crosshair and Mayday, and I mean, if I was in his position and I see two of my men that I sent out there to retrieve these stolen crates, and I see literally both of them limping. One of them looks like he's nearing the edge of death. I would immediately be like, I would immediately call for medical attention, help those two, and then say, it was my mistake for sending you out there. I never should have. I'm so sorry. What does this guy say? I'm assuming, judging by your appearance, you failed this mission. I'm like, oh my god. And of course, Crosshair, Mayday falls to the ground. Crosshair gets down on all fours. He's basically that distraught. And he's just like, he needs help. He needs medical attention or he'll die. And then Nolan's just like, but that would be a waste of resource. And I'm like, oh my god. And then Mayday dies. He dies literally, basically on the doorstep. It's like if you venture all this way back home and you die on the doorstep. It's like, oh my goodness. And of course, Crosshair he's broken because this is a man who has given so much, and even Mayday had said it's like, this is what we get for following orders, all this. And Crosshair he's just looking down on him, and it's just, it just amazes me how many times D. Bradley Baker can get me saying this guy is a phenomenal actor. Like him as Crosshair, he already has kind of like these already changed up version of a clone trooper voice. So for him to do that along with this, just him distraught in pain in a way, just seeing basically a brother of his die right next to him, all the while this dude is literally looking down on him, insulting him in a way, saying that he failed his mission, doesn't even care about the fact that a man died in front of him. And then, of course, then Crosshair calls that out. He's like, you could have saved it. And Lieutenant Nolan's just like, again, it's like, it would have been a waste of research. And then he doubles down and he says, if you dare question me like that again, I will make sure you have a similar fate to his. And I'm like, ugh. And so a part of me thought the episode was going to end there. I thought it was going to end there, and it's be like, okay, was Crosshair's revelation in a way that maybe he's not on the right side. Maybe he made a mistake. Maybe he's going to do something to kind of get out of there. Maybe he's going to go AWOL. Who knows? No, this whole sequence surprised me because one, the music, the visual, the way they looked at, the way it set it up, the way you see Crosshair's face, and then eventually he gets to his feet, and then he just shoots the lieutenant square in the chest. It's like, what? Like, it literally shocked me when that happened. I literally thought the episode was going to end with Crosshair just contemplating everything that he's done, and it's going to cut there. No, they take it a step further, and they have him shoot the lieutenant for just that. He literally, like, the lieutenant was just mocking them, insulting them, beating them down when they were already down. It's just basically what he was doing. And Crosshair just shoots him and kills him. And then Crosshair passes out. And then I thought the episode was going to end there just with that shocker. But then no. Then they go a step further. They have Crosshair wake up in I already forget the name, but the mountain base that Nala Say's at, where all these doctors are at, where Gregor was at. But then they got Gregor out. So now Crosshair is here. And That's where the episode ends. So now it's like, oh my, what? So this whole episode, like from the start, I knew it was gonna be good because it's a Crosshair episode. But then just getting to the end, I'm like, that was incredible. Like, because usually the episodes where you have the turning points for a character are usually the biggest ones because those are the episodes that I show a lot, give a lot of time to this character, and usually put him in a situation where it's just like, holy crap, that's insanity. So, yeah, no, that's exactly what this episode was, and I loved it. And really adds a lot of questions to where this season's gonna go, and I'm excited now. Just to think a few episodes ago, I'm like, it's a little underwhelming. I don't know how to feel about it now. I don't know. I'm eating my words. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What'd you guys think?